pioneer of crime fiction who brings journalistic realism and psychological acuteness to stories in which both male and female characters are convincing. Among her remarkable achievements in fiction, for which I really don't think she's had enough credit, is that she dared to use fiction to tell the truth about Jimmy Savile while he was still alive. Most people waited, most journalists waited until he was dead, and Val, in those very brave books with a Savile-type character, I always wondered if her publishers knew how brave they were being, but perhaps they didn't. Anyway, that was one of her most remarkable achievements. It's an incredible career. As Sharon said, she's one of her other achievements is this festival itself. And I haven't given the name away, but if you've guessed, Mark Billingham, whose name I can give away, will come to the stage to talk about the recipient. Mark.
Good evening. 5 years ago at the World Mystery Convention in St. Louis, Missouri, I found myself on stage in front of several hundred people singing. In case you're interested, it was the Roy Orbison classic, Crying. And after the first verse, I looked to my right just to remind myself that the woman I was duetting with was the recipient of this evening's Outstanding Lifetime Achievement Award. She was there because, well, it's the World Mystery Convention and she's one of the most acclaimed crime writers in the world. But she was on that stage at that moment because she thought it would be a laugh and that we'd have fun. That's Val McDermid right there. Actually, that's Val McDermid right there. But I don't have to tell you that because she's one of the best known and best loved figures in our genre. Never more so than here, a festival she helped get off the ground and of which she is the heart and soul. I wonder if she could have imagined that, growing up among the Fife coalfields in the 1960s. Well, yes, I think she possibly could, because nobody needs reminding what an incredible imagination she has. And could she ever have dreamed about being the first pupil from a Scottish state school to go to St Hilda's College, Oxford, at 16? Yeah, quite possibly. Because she's a woman of enormous drive and ambition, and because settling for second best is not in her nature. From there, it was a career in journalism, a boozy tabloid newsroom in the 1970s, thick with cigarette smoke and sexism, when it was not easy to make a name for yourself if you had, you know, a vagina. But she did make a name for herself, a nickname the other reporters gave her, and that name was Killer. Because stepping aside is not in her nature. Kowtowing and putting up with crap are not in her nature. This was when she began to try and write fiction, and 14 years writing about what could happen on the streets of Glasgow or Manchester at night was when she learned about real justice, about what violence did to people, and about what it really meant to be a victim. I can only presume that it's this concern for and commitment to the beaten down, to those who deal with pain on a daily basis, that has fired her abiding passion for Wraith Rovers Football Club. Crime fiction and her football team are unquestionably twin passions in her life. On the one hand, there is unbearable torture and agony, there is terrible grief and loss, and then there's the crime fiction. Her love for the Rovers has now got a physical manifestation at Starks Park, where you can watch games from the Val McDermid stand and drink in the Val McDermid bar, both endeavours in honour of her late father, who was a scout for the club. It's hard to imagine how much more she could do, short of turning out for them every week. Though in many ways she does, because she's also the sponsor of the team strip. I get a perverse and wonderful kick every week at the thought of 11 hairy-arsed footballers trooping off the park at the end of the match with a sweaty Val McDermid plastered to their chests. Which is something that is very unlikely to happen in any other circumstance. In both her life and her work, Val has been someone who has stood up and spoken out, not just about sexual politics, but her own sexuality. That she is held in such huge esteem by the LGBT community, and that she was awarded the hugely prestigious Lambda Pioneer Award in 2011 is really no surprise, because hiding is not in her nature. Another area in which Val has always been hugely vocal is in speaking up for and supporting the work of new writers. It's seen most obviously at this festival each year when she selects 4 writers to be part of her New Blood panel. But it's something she does all year round, because she believes in nurturing new talent, which is not always something you can say about writers as established and successful as she is, because she does not subscribe to the notion that in order for her to do well, someone else has to do badly. That is not in her nature. What is in her nature, in her blood and in her bones, is storytelling. And what stories they are. Stories that over 30 novels have won her millions of devoted readers and been garlanded with accolades. This fantastic barrel she's carrying off tonight is only the latest award, and it's certainly not the last. Her work has immense depth and variety, and that's without taking into account her non-fiction, her children's books, her radio drama, or her work as a broadcaster. The visceral power and dark drama of Mermaid Sea, the brooding atmosphere and twists to die for in A Place of Execution, or the shocking prescience of Wire in the Blood. Above all, it's her characters that mark her out as one of the greats, one of the special ones. Lindsay Gordon, Kate Brannigan, Karen Pirie, and of course, Tony Hill and Carol Jordan. These are well-rounded and hugely loved characters, wholly credible characters, unlike, say, a working-class girl from Kirkcaldy who went to Oxford at 16. Who writes so brilliantly about the very darkest recesses of the human psyche, but is happiest enjoying rather simpler and more innocent pleasures. Singing, playing computer games, quizzes, long walks, and good coffee. She loves all these things, she loves writing, and she will love this. Oh yeah, because she loves to see justice done. And tonight it's being done. I could not be more delighted to be paying tribute this evening to someone who's my mate, my fellow egghead, my partner in cheesy duets, but above all, who is the queen of crime. Ladies and gentlemen, Val McDermid.
Thank you. I'm touched and moved by that, Mark, and you've never touched me like that before. You know, it's like Sharon said, 15 years ago, a bunch of bossy women sat in a room and decided it was about time there was a really good crime festival in this country. The Harrogate International Festivals decided they wanted a little bit of sparkle and glamour to add to their rather drab music and dance and stuff. And so they turned to crime fiction. And they say we sat in a room and we planned it out. Jane Gregory, Maria Raitt, me, Jane Brady-Shellams, Sharon was in the room. And here we are. I mean, it's half a published lifetime ago for me. 15 years of my published 30-year life, 29-year life, really. And I really, you're right, I never imagined this. Theakstons, awards, all of you. I thought it would be this, quiet little thing where some people might come along and enjoy themselves. Not this madcap, crazy, devoted, pleasure-loving madness. It's great. I've always written the books that I wanted to write. I've always written the books that sang in my heart and shouted and clamoured in my head to be written. That's the only worthwhile advice I would give to any writer. Don't write for the market. Don't write what you think will succeed. Write what you really care about, what you really love. And I've had over the years a lot of people who have helped me to do that. For 29 years, Jane Gregory has bullied me and supported me and advocated my work round the world. I've had extraordinary editors who have allowed me to write the books that I wanted to write because they understood that that was the best way to get a good book out of me. Over the years, Julia Wisdom, David Shelley, and now Lucy Malagoli are working with me to help make my books better. And even after 30 books, believe me, they can be made better. I've also got a partner who always knows just what I need, whether that's support or chivying along or being laughed at. But most of all, actually, I owe you a debt of thanks, because you're the ones who have bought my books, borrowed my books, read my books. Without an audience, a writer is nothing. And you are the people who have made me the writer I am today. So I want to thank you for what you've done for me over the years. So thank you very much for this award, and thank you for everything.